Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal. I'm the owner of Moxie Fika Design Co. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button below to be notified of new videos. Today, I'm going to go over kind of a continuation of the Sublimation keychain wristlets video that I did for school fundraisers. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to use my digital design backgrounds to create a completed design in Affinity Designer, and then printing and pressing those items. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up a new document, go to File and New. And for this, I'm just going to use a letter size piece of paper. Settings are 8.5 by 11 and 300 DPI. For color, you want your RGB 8, and then you want this for your color profile. I do prefer to use a transparent background, and then I'm going to hit Create. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop in one of the background designs that I had created. And I'm going to go with one of these. We'll do, this one's kind of fun. I'm just going to single click for it to drop into my document. In the bundles that I do have for these, I also created a template that you can use. I will show you that. There's a PNG and a JPEG format that comes with all the downloads. And this is showing the black line is a bleed line, and the red line is the actual line of the design. So I can put this below that. And then if you need to check where your placement is of anything, you can decrease the opacity on your design to kind of see that everything's kind of falling in the middle of that red line. I'm going to go ahead and place a logo. They're actually the school that I work at. So I'm just going to put that in there. Looks like my crop on that's not centered, so try to shrink it down a little bit. Go. And put that in the middle. And then I want to go ahead and add some text. Let's see, I'll do text. And fun font. Quite a few that I like to use on these that are kind of sporty looking. Baseball bold is a good one. A bunch of these other ones that are kind of sports themed. Block letter is a good one. This is always the part that takes me the longest because I have so many fonts. Let's see. I have some other ones down here too. Soccer League College. Those are good ones. I kind of like that one. The pack. And I'm going to make it the maroon of the logo. Grab my little dropper tool here, drop it on the red, and then select that, and it will change my font. I'm going to Control J to copy that. Bring it down to the bottom. And that. Those lines that you see are snapping guides, which are all found up here. I always just leave everything turned on, except for show snapping candidates. So that green line is showing that it's centered in the middle. Move it up a little bit. Sure this one's centered. I'm sure it's staying far enough away from this red line. There won't be any issue with that. Shrink them down a little bit. And then at this point, you'd want to turn your opacity back up to 100%. And then this, I'm just going to turn off. So there's one completed design. And then you would just, I like to select all of it, go to File and Export. I want it to be in PNG format, but I only want it to be my selection area. So that's that. And then, so there you can see I did save it. Now I'm just going to delete this and I'm going to do one more. I'm going to turn my template back on. I'm going to do one that is a little bit more complex to work with. So let's do this circle one, for example. Put it in, decrease my opacity down a little bit so I can see that red line. And I'm going to start with my logo. Tigers here. All right. So I'm going to put that in. And I want it to be inside of the circle. And then just to give it some definition, I'm going to come up to Quick Effects, click on Outline, click on Color, then you can change the color to whatever you want. For this, I'm going to do white, and I'm going to increase the radius. Just makes it stand out a little bit more. Nothing too big, but I think that's good. Okay. Next, I'm going to create a circle so that my text can wrap around that. I'm going to grab my ellipse tool. And if you hold down the shift button before you start clicking and dragging, it will create perfect circle for you. So I'm just going to do that. Oh, I let go of shift. Let's see here. 2. I'm going to hit the little fill line here to none. So I can kind of see where I'm at with this. And it looks pretty close. Next, I'm going to grab my artistic text tool. And if you hover it close to that shape that you made, you'll see the cursor change from an A to a T with a little line under it. That tells you that you're on your curve that you created. So I'm just going to click once on that. I'm going to take this little green triangle here. I'm going to slowly drag it until it snaps to the center. And I'm going to take what's going on here? There we go. I'm going to take the red one and do the same thing. Snap it to the center. And then I'm going to come up here and hit my align center for my text. Probably need to go a little bit smaller. And we can do Crystal Lake. Crystal Maroon. Let's do So I have my top writing done. When I'm with my cursor at the end of the line, I'm going to hit enter. And now you can see it's moved down below. Tigers. Oops. When we hit enter, it did create new green and red triangles. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to snap it to the center on the left side. Snap it to the center on the right side. Now, as you can see, our text, oops. Put it back where it belongs. Right about there. Our text down here is too far up. So we need it to come down quite a ways. If you come up here to baseline, it allows you to adjust where your font is. So I'm just going to kind of look here. I think that's good, but I'm going to move this one up a little bit too. Same thing, come to baseline and go the opposite way. All right. Click off and kind of see how it looks. I think our tigers is down a little bit too low. We're at 81. Yep. Let's try 75. Kind of like that. I think I want the tigers to be bigger though. Let's try going up to 50. Yeah, too big. And I'm gonna change this again. I'm gonna turn my opacity back up on this just so I can kind of see what we're looking like. And I think that is looking pretty good. You can also do a lot of other things with your text too. So say we did, we can change this to the orange. I don't want to change it to orange. Black, I'm gonna do the stroke as orange. And then you can also come up to quick effects and outline. I don't know that I like the look of that, but let's see if we switch this. That's kind of fun. Pretty simple. I'm gonna undo that though. Bring it back to normal. So just different ideas. Sometimes if you layer with certain fonts, layer the stroke and then the outline, you can make some fun effects with that. All right. Same thing. I'm going to group these together. I'm going to turn that off. And Control E, I have it set up export. And this one's going I do always export my design and then replace it back into my document for printing. I'm going to delete that. So to print front and back, we'll need 2 of them. And then from there we can print. Right now I'm just going to do up a couple of the round designs that I had done for, you can use them for ornaments, car coasters, basically anything round. And this one will do One of these. The snowflake ones are a lot of fun for winter, Christmas time for ornaments. And then all these other ones are good for ornaments or car coasters. So let's do, oh, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. Zoom in a little bit. And grab my text tool. And the top, I like to do this for this split one. I like to do the school initials. And let's see. Let's do baseball old. And I'm gonna make this blue. And then I'm gonna do a white stroke. Go up to my stroke panel. Increase that a little bit. And then I'm gonna add the outline effect to it. I want this to be the blue as well. And then I'm gonna increase the radius on that a little bit. Now I think it's too close to the original text. So I'm gonna come up to my stroke, and here where it says align, you have a line stroke to center, a line stroke to inside, and a line stroke to outside. I'm gonna do it to the outside, and I'm gonna increase it a little bit. Now you can see our letters are a little bit smushed together. I'm gonna come up here to my character panel, and I'm going to increase that one a little bit and this one. Space them out a little bit more. And then for the bottom, I'm gonna grab my text tool again. And I'm gonna do the mascot name. Now for this, I want the colors to be opposite of what they are. So I'm gonna come up here and switch the stroke color with fill color. And then I also need to change, I'm gonna duplicate my effects by just clicking and dragging it in. And then I'm gonna change this from blue to white. That's gonna give us that same effect like we have up. I'm gonna manipulate this text a little bit too. Make it a little taller. Space that out a little bit as well. This one I did not create a template for. Basically, once you have the whole thing done, you just want to make sure that your fonts, you do want to have a bleed edge. You want to make sure your fonts aren't too close to the edges. So I'm going to shrink both of these down just a tiny bit, just to make sure I don't have to worry about it. 80. And that one. I'm going to do Control A for Control All. I'm going to group it together. And then depending on if I'm doing this on an ornament or a car coaster will depend on the size for it. I'll click the little button to lock my aspect ratio. And this one I'm going to do on a car coaster, which I believe is about 2.15. I forgot. On your effects, you want that to be checkmark scale with object. Scale with object. And then on the stroke as well. I forgot to do that one. I did. Okay. That will keep it at the same ratio. Now I'm gonna decrease. Control E, export. PNG, selection only. Export. I'm gonna do a couple more so I can do an ornament as well. I think this logo has more blue in it, so I'm gonna actually go with the white one. Place tool to place my logo. This is the correct one. Now, this is a good example for the color on this logo is a little bit lighter than the actual design. You can kind of play around with them a little bit. So if I select the actual design itself and come to adjustments, there's a lot of different adjustments that you can make. I'm going to try brightness and contrast and see if I can kind of get it a little bit closer. That's going to go to dark. Vibrance is a good one to use too. Sometimes decreasing the saturation down or up can help a little bit. That's way too bright. That's going too dark. With some of these, it's just a matter of playing around with them and finding what you think works best. I think that's pretty close. All right. So you could just leave it simple, just do the logo in the middle of it. Shrink it down a little bit. Do carvings. Grab my tool again and re-grab that color since I altered it a little bit. Do 2024, 2025. Keep in mind for ornaments that you are going to have a hole up here. We'll work around. You could always create a template following one of my other videos that does show how to create a template for any substrate that you have. Now I just want to make sure that my logo and all my text is aligned. Which it is. Now it's centered both directions. I'm going to grab all those layers, Control G to group them together. And this I'm going to print on a 3-inch ornament. So I'm going to go about 3.15 for my size. Control E to export. The ornaments are kind of fun. I do double-sided ones. So I'll typically do 2 different designs, one for the front, one for the back, just to give them kind of something a little bit unique and different. Or you can do the same, or you can do single-sided ornaments. It really just depends on what you want to do. All right, I'm going to delete these again. And then I'm going to drop in my PNGs of those. All right, so car coaster. It's only a single side, so I just need one of those. With the car coasters, I do sell them in 2-packs, and same thing, kind of like the ornament, doing a different design front and back. With the car coasters, I will do a 2-pack, and I will do 2 different designs, just to give them a little bit of variety. So I'm just going to do the same front and back for this one. Placed it in once, Control J to copy it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get these printed, and then we'll start pressing. Okay, so we're going to start off with pressing the ornament. Typically, these do come with a plastic film on them that you want to peel off. The easiest way I have found to do so is to set it under your heat press for even just a few seconds. And then it should come right off. No fussing and fighting with it. You want to make sure you take off both sides. I try to not touch it, get my dirty fingers all over it. And then we're going to take it over to our design and set it down centered. You can use tack spray if you prefer. I'm a taper. Grab my tape, and I usually just do 3. There's that. Grab my butcher paper. Alright. Print on top. Hold my paper over. You can use a light pressure for these. My heat press is set to 375, but using a temp gun it does read about 400. Yep. About 50 seconds or so. Okay. Ornaments, I definitely recommend heat gloves so that you don't burn your hands. And just kind of peel it off. It is very hot. There we go. Came out pretty good. You do want to let it cool before you do the second side, so I'm just going to set that down. And then we can move on to our car coaster. Okay, next we're going to move on to the car coaster. When I originally made the design, it was a little small. I had to remeasure it, made it a little bit bigger. These do have a little notch in them. Where you decide to put that is completely up to you. I typically do put it to the top, but again, you can put it top or bottom. I'm going to center. I'm actually going to turn it over too and just kind of feel it and make sure that my lettering is all inside of the actual substrate. I think we're good. Same thing, I'm going to do 3 pieces of tape. try to get it in there so it doesn't move when I press it. All right, flip it over so paper's on top. And put it inside of our butcher paper. And I'm going to do the same time and temperature on this. No, I do need to probably loosen up my pressure a little bit. That should be good. I'm going to try. Here we go. You could also do regular coasters for these too. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so I taped our ornament for the second side. I'm going to flip it over so paper is on top. Fold our butcher paper over and back into the press. All right, so there goes the timer for our ornament. All right, there's side two. So I got both sides. All right, so with the can coolers, I do recommend lint rolling them. They tend to be very linty. Just kind of do both sides all the way around. All right. Here is my printout with my design. I am just going to center it as best as I can. On both sides, the bottom, all that. Looks pretty good. Now when I tape these, I tape from the inside of here, rather than taping on, if you can see that, rather than taping like that, I'm going to put it inside and then tape it down. I found that this helps with ghosting, so it doesn't shift. And then I do the same with two pieces on the bottom here. Just kind of pouch it up a little bit. Put two in there. For the bottom, to help get full coverage, hopefully you can see this. Let's see. I put it on and then I do kind of pull it and roll it. Let's see. There we go. Push it kind of forward and then tape it down. Another one on this side too. So I'm kind of pushing it forward and rolling it down and then taping it. Your paper is going to curve up a little bit. That's totally okay. Next, I'm going to take my edges and I'm going to roll it up over the koozie, crease my paper, and I'm going to get that as snug as I can. A lot of times there's trouble getting the seams on these. I have not found a way that makes it absolutely perfect, but I do find this to decrease the seam issue. So make sure I'm really flat here and go to the other side. I'm making sure I'm snug, but I don't want this buckled up too bad, so we won't get a nice crisp image. That looks pretty good. Take it down. And take it down. All right, so it's kind of like a little pouch. Oops, we'll go this way. All right, I'm going to cut a piece of paper. Putting in that there. Oop. Sometimes the tape likes to come off of these. All right, flip it upside down. Design's on top. Hold my butcher paper. Now for these, you don't want too heavy pressure. You're gonna smush your koozie. You don't want that. So I'll loosen up a little bit here. I might have to tighten it back a little bit more, but I'm gonna give it a test run. I think that was pretty good. All right. When taking these out of the heat press, I try to not handle it too much. It does sometimes cause them to flatten a bit. It's really hot. Let's see here. So kind of just peel back one side and then pull it out. There we go. That's side one. And we'll do side two next. Okay, so I did tape and put in for the second side of the can cooler. Again, I'm trying to not handle the cooler itself too much. It can get imprints on it if you touch it too much when it's hot. And it's very hot. There we go. All right, pull it out. There it goes. So as you can see, we do still have a little bit of a line. But it is not too bad. There you go. So just gonna finish up our ornament really quick here. I have a narrow ribbon that I just tied in a knot at the one end. Just gonna fold that edge over so I can get it through the little hole there. Whoops, easy for me to say. There we go. And then I take the knotted end and put it through the loop and pull. If you wanted to do something fun, you could also add like a couple of beads on top of it and then tie a knot again so that they stay put. But that'd be a fun way to kind of dress them up a little bit. But yeah, so there we have our double-sided ornament, our car coaster. Excuse my dog hacking up in the background. And our can cooler. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. One last thing to add here, I did add a couple of different overlays to the folders for all the can cooler background designs. I will show you how to use those really quick. This will help if you are concerned with white edges. Adding a little bit of something white towards the edges will make it look like it's more purposeful. So there are 3 different ones that I did. I will show you each of them. So if you had your design kind of ready to go, you can just drop it in there and line it up. Let's see. There we go. So this one is just kind of like a gradient effect towards the edges. I did put my template in here too, so that I could kind of see where that's falling. If you don't want it to be so far in, you could just stretch, not that one, the overlay. So if I just stretched it out a little bit and then recenter it, maybe even a little bit more. There we go. So now that's our red line. So that's the actual edge of the can cooler. Now it would have that gradient effect towards the edge, and then where the white is, it would make more sense. The other ones. It's a little short. You just stretch it up a little bit, and down a little bit. That one's just kind of a jagged edge. And I'll put it below my template so I can see where it's falling. Same thing, I could stretch this one out a little bit more, just so it's not so big. Recenter it. So that we would have that little white edge there. And then the third one, it's just kind of a grunge text or a grunge effect. Yeah, you can just resize it if you don't want, as much of it. If you want more of it, you could push it in. Go kind of like that. So those are in the folders I'll turn the template off so you can kind of see too how they would look. Go back to the other ones really quick. First one. Yeah, so that would also help with those white edges if you're concerned about that. If you're doing a design that already has white in it, it's not as obvious. But when you're using these darker colors, those white edges can be not as fun to look at. So, all right. Well, thank you again for watching. I do appreciate it. You can get all these background designs on my Etsy shop, Moxie Fika Design Co. And if you join my Facebook group, which is also Moxie Fika Design Co., there is a group discount code to always have access to a discount for my digital designs. I link the tutorials there. You can ask questions, some giveaways, and just trying to create a fun group where people can come and learn. Thank you again so much for watching. I look forward to doing the next video.